Hey everybody, welcome to Drawing for Tattooers. I'm your host James Wisdom. I'm just getting warmed up with a couple ellipses. It's right now it's Monday afternoon, 2 Eastern. But we're gonna replay this next Monday. I think that's the 24th, September 24th. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just sketching some ellipses. I like to draw ellipses to get kind of warmed up. Oh, these are kind of like look like nipples a little bit today. I don't know what. Maybe I don't know. I just like to. I really like to get the like work the kinks out and just move my I like to move my shoulder and do these right just to get warmed up. I get it. Could be a bit of nonsense, but yeah. I try to do like 50 of them or so, and then just get warmed up, and then I honestly do this at least some kind of scribbly, sketchy movement before I do any tattoos. Yeah, I just really like, especially the first one of the day. I'm definitely gonna I'm gonna get warmed up and do some warm ups at the very least. So anyway, I like to get stretched, and I like to warm up, and anyway, that's it. Yeah, let's welcome today's guest, Andrew Swarbrick. Thank you for coming.
G'day, how are ya?
All the way from New Zealand. You're zooming in.
Yep. She's an early morning this morning, I can tell you that.
What time is you?
Right now, yeah, it's what have we got? 6 o'clock in the morning. Not too bad. Not too bad. It's starting to get lighter.
It's Monday for me.
Monday, Tuesday. I'm in the future. Tuesday morning.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's awesome that we can be connected. And again, like I got a chance to meet you virtually last year because Gabe
was doing last year, the year before, something like that. I think I was getting interviewed and you came in.
Yeah, I got a chance. Like I hopped in on there and got a chance to we looked at your paintings. They're amazing. I definitely would recommend that that chat. It was super cool getting to meet you then. And today we're having you on specifically because we certainly want to mention your visit to the States, and you're going to be teaching a seminar at the Paradise Tattoo during the Paradise Tattoo Gathering. Yeah, I have a little QR code here up in the corner if you want to learn more.
Cool.
So anyway, yeah, and we'll talk more about that like at the end. You were going to do some demonstrations and stuff for us a little, in a little bit. I've got a chance to get a sneak peek on it. It's your process is amazing. So yeah, no, I'm excited for everybody to get a chance to check it out. But hold on a second, Sandy McAndrew, it's so great to see you. Thank you for coming. It's not
for having me as well.
Yeah, it's not often we get to pop on. You it's a different time zone for you too. You're on the west coast of of North America.
Yes, so it's almost noon for me now, which is definitely later than when you're usually on at 6 a.m. my time, and so I've made it to 1. Which was awesome.
Amazing to see you, because again we're doing a special episode, and again, so it's a little later in the day.
Yes.
And it's great to have everybody. Real quick, we wanted to also mention, just to do some housekeeping, there's an upcoming seminar that Sandy wanted to mention to everybody. Sandy.
Yeah. So it's a little early, so we don't have links for you yet. But if you have any interest in what I'm about to share with you, then you can email me, sandy@reinventingthetattoo.com, and I'll make sure that you are getting all up to date. But leading up to the Paradise Tattoo Gathering, where we're going to see these lovely humans, Guy Aitchison is doing a month-long cover-up intensive, cover-up mastery, a 4-week intensive with Guy Aitchison, and it's going to be three different exercises of practicing cover-up skills, hands-on with Guy. He's going to be talking about everything that you need to know to prepare yourself for being able to do cover-ups if you've never done them, or to be better at cover-ups if you already do them. I personally, like a third of my clients are probably cover-ups. I love doing cover-ups. I'm quite good at them, and I'm super excited to do this course with him to get even better, because we can always keep pushing and improving. And anybody that's seen Guy Aitchison's cover-ups knows that he's excellent at them. He knows all the little tricks, and he's going to be sharing them all with you guys. And it'll lead up to in the third week, we're going to have Andy Chambers, and I think Jake Meeks and myself and a couple more people as a panel to give you feedback on designs that you're working on. You're going to be working on not only exercises that Guy will be providing, but then working towards the third week, doing your own actual hands-on cover-up on either a friend or a client, however you can find that. A cover-up in real life, that you'll be able to have all of this wonderful feedback from top artists to make you really, really ready to do that tattoo. And then on the Paradise Tattoo Gathering Sunday, the last day of that, we are going to be having the critique of those tattoos that you've tattooed. So you're going to be able to prepare for a tattoo, get to do the tattoo, and then get feedback on that. There'll be a follow-up in case there's in case you're like late or you couldn't get anybody in those couple days or anything like that, and lots of chances to ask Guy questions. This is going to be $299 US for the 4-week intensive, but if you already are a Reinventing the Tattoo subscriber, you're subscribing to Evolution, the Canon, or the Monday Night Exercises, then you're going to be getting a huge discount as a really big thank you from all of us for supporting us for this long. We're going to be offering you that whole course for only $50. And people that want to subscribe to Reinventing the Tattoo now, you will be getting a $50 off coupon towards that $299. So you'd only be paying $249. And I mean, this is going to be a huge access to the legendary Guy Aitchison. So definitely worth every penny. And I believe we'll have that same $50 sort of thing, or 10% discount or something, going for people that are listening to, let's say, Jake Meeks' podcast, the Fireside Tattoo Network, stuff like that. So we're wanting to make sure that we're making it available for everybody. And if there's, once again, anything that you want to ask about this prior to our links being up, then you can, you can ask in chat right now, and I can try and answer. But also, you can send me an email, sandy@reinventingthetattoo.com, and I will try and get back to you as fast as possible with answers.
That was awesome. Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you, James.
No, of course. Well, again, I'm really hoping that people will take advantage of this seminar. There's a project involved, and Jason Leeser was just talking about, like, how are we, staying busy in this downturn? And it really does make the most sense in the world. Do more cover-ups.
Yeah.
Do more cover-ups. That's it.
There's so many. There's so many people that need it. It's
a really great answer to this problem that we have. It's just do more cover-ups, and it's going to help the people, and they're going to come back to you, and they're going to give you their fresh, their fresh baby skin, their virgin flesh.
Yes, they will trust you.
You know what I mean? It'll be amazing. So, but it's, I think the part, and this is what we were talking about earlier on Jason's show, was the thing that's interesting to me is that here's a whole community of people who are willing to share their strategies, and then receive feedback about this very delicate process. So, I mean, I think it's, this really can't do anything but help your approach, up your game to doing the cover-ups, because sometimes you can make it's magic, and the way you can impact somebody's life can be it can be a huge
100%. And people like you said, impacts people's lives. It changed some people's lives, what they're going to be able to wear, feel comfortable with, how they look at their body. And there's a lot of people that walk around thinking that they're not going to be able to get cover-ups because there's so many people that say no to them, and they're wearing something that's just not making them feel good. And so then that's impacting their life in a very negative way, and we can help that. Especially if you can make it turn into something beautiful instead of just like, well, we're just gonna put a black spot on it. And not to say, I mean, there's lots of people that do blast overs now, and some of those look really cool, but I think that there's so many options, and people deserve to have access to those options. And
yeah, no, it's good. It's great to find others that you want to like kind of develop this. And so again, it's also asynchronous, right? Or you can continue this after we do it. You know what I mean? This could be something that could continue to exist, and you can continue this project.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I just thanks for sharing that. I really can't wait. I'm getting a cover up tattoo right now from Guy Atchison, and so I'm in the middle of it, and it's been an amazing process. Like how kind of how much more interesting the tattoo is because it integrates the old one into the new one. You know what I mean? It's like it's covered, but the way it's really more of an obfuscation, right? It's just like it like integrates it.
Yeah.
Right? It brings out some of the characters of like what's there. It's interesting what happens because of this constraint. Have to cover it.
Yeah.
We're doing something radical because of it, and I love it. I love my new tattoo so much more than the old one.
Yeah, exactly. You're probably gonna look at your arm now and
that old shit was such
cool.
Yeah, I feel better about the tattoos that I have on this arm, but it that old one taught me a lot. A lot of people, humble tattoos can humble you. It's true.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, thank you, Stan. It is amazing. Andrew, we draw a lot here on Drawing for Tattoos, and this is your first time here. So whenever people come, I always ask them like, "Hey, do you want to draw with us? Will you draw? Show us how you draw. Show us your drawing exercises or your process and stuff."
Yeah. Okay. I'll just start. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's check it out. So everybody, we're gonna
switch my camera over so you can see my screen.
Andrew, take it away.
Alrighty. You see that okay?
Yes.
Sick. Right. Well, I thought I'd just take everyone through sort of how I am designing this particular sleeve that I'm doing at the moment. So it's a Dungeons and Dragons themed sleeve for a client that I've known since I was a teenager, and we started playing Dungeons and Dragons back in 2nd edition for those playing at home. So sort of it's a real collaborative piece, more so than what it would normally be, I guess, with other clients, just because we sort of intimately know what Dungeons and Dragons sort of means to each of us and to each other, so I can really sort of try to tell the story with it. So I've got a couple of references here. This guy's a Swarbrick, so he's a massive character in Dungeons and Dragons over many editions, and here's a much older picture of him. So I've got those there because we've sort of figured out that these are the things, these sort of are the main beats that we want to hit with this particular tattoo. So I'm very big on storytelling, so I've got sort of an idea of what I want to say in this picture, but what I always start with is just I still mark out my flow lines. I still mark out how the arm naturally sort of falls forwards in its layout. I like laying out my compositions facing forwards, so in a sort of flowing motion this way. You can go the opposite way as well, but as long as they're facing forwards, I'm happy. But for this particular one, we're doing it sort of like that. So the big sort of what I generally start with is I'll get a I'll just play around with some masses. So like where I want things to normally sit. So usually I'll have a base or something up on the deltoid up here, and then something sort of moving across this way, and then an opposing force down here, or maybe on the inside coming through here. So my thoughts on this one are I initially was looking, I haven't finished this design yet by any means, but I initially was placing a CRX sort of up in this spot on the deltoid, and he was looking down this way and sort of flowing through this way to interact with Xanathar, who's the one second. I'm really sorry. Someone's at the door. I have to go and answer the front door. I just got to. I'll be
No
right
worries.
back. Sorry.
This is great, though. I mean, it's really been, it's really interesting to watch somebody's process. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
always fun to see somebody's process.
you know what? It really, I didn't want to like interrupt him, but all those flow lines, that sure looks familiar.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So if like certainly like if you know, but like Reinventing the Tattoo is a book. Right. So just in case, Reinventing the Tattoo is a book. And so it's a digital book.
Oh, the joys of live streaming. That was amazing.
Amazing.
Look, I have a lifestyle property, which is what you guys call a homestead that I live on, and my mum and dad have a small, a tiny home next door. And Mum was just going to work, and she's coming to get some of the eggs to sell to her
Horrible.
workmates.
nice.
So yeah, she was actually singing the egg song at the front. I said, "Mum, I'm live streaming." I felt like
Mom. Andrew, real quick before you get back into the groove, so I was just commenting to Sandy about how familiar those flow lines looked. It reminded me of Reinventing the Tattoo, the book. You have read this book? Hello? Is Andrew there?
I can't see his camera, but he was there for a minute.
We just
Maybe
we just dropped off
Maybe
here.
he's getting eggs.
Maybe he had to go grab it.
Yeah, no, I've. Oh, there it is. Thank you for that. Can you hear me?
I popped the question to you about reinventing. Like, have you read this? You've read this book, yes?
Yeah. So back in the mists of the deep past, when I began my apprenticeship, that was the first thing that my mentor did, was hand me a copy of that.
Awesome.
And say, read this, and once you've read that, I'll start teaching you. So that was, I'm quite familiar. It's a long time ago since I read it, but I'm quite familiar with the concept. So that, definitely what I'm doing here, the first few steps are still based in that concept of sort of reading the whole flow and positioning of your composition, is 90% of the battle when it comes to the tattoo,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was
pretty much. Oh, sorry.
I was going to ask a not related to the tattooing process, but just for this specific one, are any of these characters like ones that are from stories that you guys have, campaigns that you guys have done?
Yeah, so Serax, he was the big bad really in second edition. I can't remember the name of the actual dungeon. It's called Dungeon of the Mad Mage or something like that. But he's it's a notoriously difficult dungeon to do, and it's and you sort of are expected to lose characters along the way. So we definitely dealt with him. Demogorgon, which is the this guy, the double-headed demon king. I've run some campaigns. Tiamat's huge. She's the goddess of evil dragons. She's my favorite. And Xanathar, he runs the Thieves Guild in Waterdeep, as far as I can remember.
Oh, my nephew's just doing Waterdeep, I think. right now.
Oh, sick. Yeah. So this goldfish, I can't remember the goldfish's name, but it's the only thing that keeps him from basically destroying all of Waterdeep. He's an insane little dude. So, and his favorite thing is the goldfish. So it's quite hilarious. I think the Thieves Guild surreptitiously replace the goldfish every time it dies with a new one. So that he doesn't chuck his spares and go on a rampage. So that's what I really love about D&D is that sort of it's the collective storytelling, but you can have these massive sort of evil world-spanning concepts happening, but there's always a bit of humor. There's always a bit of laughter that cuts through the tension in the sessions, which I really love. So that's part of what I really want to do with this sleeve, is because Mike, the guy that's getting the sleeve, is the most hilarious player I've ever played Dungeons and Dragons with. He's ridiculous. So having those sort of elements in there is really going to be such a large part of the storytelling for this
That's
particular
awesome.
piece. Yeah. So yeah. Feel free to ask me stuff or interject or anything like that. I'm not sort of super duper busy with this stuff. I can talk at the same time. But yeah, so what I'm doing here is just sort of figuring out where my masses and everything are. And I was originally going to put a Serac up here and Xanathar down here, but it's kind of, I notice in my own work, it's a bit of a crutch that I default to the face on the deltoid. It's just an easy place to put it. It fits, it's a large round mass. Chuck a face up there, you can't really go wrong. It's like doing sort of large circular things on the inside of the forearm. It's a nice sort of round mass that the forearm, placing something in there is quite easy. There's nothing wrong with easy. It's easy because it works. But for this one, I decided that I was going to not do that. I'm going to put a Serac down here so that I can create some space, because I really like in this image how there's a lot of space created behind Demogorgon with that large sort of light background. So I really want to reproduce something like that in what I'm doing. So I want to have a Serac down here, and then because he's going to be facing sort of forwards and down, sort of in this direction. I want him interacting with the bottom here. Then his helmet, as you can see with the big spikety bits on, will form that flow with these horns that are going to sit back in this sort of direction. See, and then his head's going to be able to look down here. Angry Mr. Serac. So in order to keep that flow going, I really want something to interact between the mass of him and the mass of where Xanathar's going to go, which is his horrible big eyeball here. So I'm going to get I want to get a hand. So it's like he's going to be casting a spell down in this direction, and then everything's flowing off that way. And I want him to be zapping the fish. So we get the goldfish coming up, having a swim, and then the Serac zapping it through. So that's sort of where I'll start a design idea from. Just figuring out where the masses and everything are, and then I could at the beginning start with an idea of sort of the color and the contrast that I want to do, and for that I'll usually try to get a contrast between the warm and the cool sort of areas and get them to cross over and have a nice transition between them, So either I'll have warm at the bottom and top and cold at the top, or warm at the top and cold at the bottom, the opposite of what's happening here. So, but for this one, that's the way I want to go with that. So I'll usually use, what I'll usually do is use a normal layer for this stuff and mark out, just in a sort of a medium grey, mark out the areas that I'm going to have these masses and the sort of shapes that they're going to be. So sort of running across this way. Then it goes down here. There's a fishy things. And then it's going to lighten up as it gets to the top of the shoulder, much like it does in the Demogorgon picture there. And then I'll start another layer that's a multiply layer. Not the same layer. We'll start another layer. Come here. It's a multiply layer with the same color. And what that will do is it will sort of stain down the colors that are underneath. And then as I build up these layers, I can build different layers of multiply versus normal opaque layers to have highlights and shading and everything from in between. So what I'm going to do is just zoom in a little bit on my references for the Swarbrick. So there's a couple of beats I really like with him, and it's he's got this skull staff that I really like, and his helmet and his horrible screaming face. So we're definitely going to go with a large expression, large sort of angry expression. I really want him to be sort of shouting. So the good thing about a lich is you can sort of start with a skull and go from there. So just figuring out where his head's going to be, the angle it's going to be on. And the beauty of Photoshop as well is that you can use the tools in Photoshop to help sort of reposition everything. You don't have to draw it all exactly where you want it to be, or exactly where it's supposed to be for a start. So the thing with him, the thing with a lich's face, and with the Swarbrick in particular, if you have a look at the references, he does have remnants of musculature over his face. So he does have a brow line that makes him look angry. And he does have parts of the sort of cartilage and flesh around his nose that makes it more than just a whole pieces of cheekbone, stuff like that. And that allows you to make more of an expressive face, an expressive skull, if you sort of know what I mean. You guys still there? I'm doing a lot of talking into the
video. I do know what you mean, because like, you know, it's really made a lot of sense. And you establish flow, right? And then and now you've also established the larger shapes. Yeah. So now now it's like becomes these, how are these characters going to exist on this in this space? Yeah. And so for me, I'm just like, I'm just watching how you sort of developed it. It makes a lot of sense. But I feel like, it's, people can be intimidated probably by just trying to, like try to take on such a large project, or they try to put in too much, so, but what I'm seeing here is like, you're really trying to take up as much real estate as you can, really large shapes first. And then of course all the digital tools and stuff that you're getting, you're going to be able to sort of have iterations like quickly. That's the advantage of the digital tools, to be honest. Yeah, all the iterations you can make, and that's what makes AI so scary, is all the iterations we can make so quickly. And so anyway,
the idea is really fast. Yeah, and that is true.
I'm enjoying watching the process unfold. I know I looked at another draft of this, but getting to watch you put it together is it's a treat. So anyway, I'll throw it over. Sandy, did you have any? You still see Sandy's still here hanging out with us? What's up, Sandy?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm loving the color. I love the colors, the way you've chosen like just these big areas of cool and areas of warm and block that out for yourself before even getting into like the subject matter. That's really cool. Um, yeah, I'm loving it.
Yeah, so,
The skull guy definitely. That's always nice when there's like a little bit more musculature so that you can make it expressive, because that is, people want skulls to be more expressive, and it's hard when there's no meat on their bones. People,
yeah. You can always sort of fall back into the sick 90s looking.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love that.
exactly.
Yeah. So no,
This guy
yeah, it
looks
is
like,
cool. Yeah, as you said, with that sort of leftover flesh, you can really have a bit of fun with it.
yeah, it's like Eddie from the Iron Maiden.
Oh yeah,
Verse. Yeah.
yeah. I think there was a Dungeons and Dragons coloring in book from the TV series. It was like a leftover from the 70s that I got given as a kid, and I used to copy that thing all the time. I think there was a skull on the wizard's table with a candle on it, and I do remember being a wee kid just sort of drawing that over and over and over again. So
Yeah.
it's all coming full circle, hey?
Yeah, so much good imagery in Dungeons and Dragons for sure.
Yeah. So with this, I've noticed that there's certain beats that it really hits. So I really want to make sure he's got his angry sort of face happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've got my nose a bit low, so we can keep.
How are you planning on like? Do you find that color is really helpful for the mood for you?
It can really be quite helpful. I generally just start with those sort of really basic. I need the cold here and the warm there to make it, to have a good idea of this flow before I start breaking it down. Like as soon as I start getting too complicated for a start, that's where I sort of overcomplicate or confuse myself. If I stick to those basic concepts for a start and then add in that other stuff later on, it helps me not get too fancy to as confuse myself early.
Totally. And then you can get really attached to like, oh no, all these cool details that I spent so long doing.
Yeah.
And then, well, I got to move them, or I want this totally different, but I spent all that time. You can get so attached.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that sort of can drag you away from your good decision making into sort of emotional based ones. You're going to be basing your decisions on, what you'd like rather than what the piece needs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yes. Definitely. But and then I also have like my favorite color combinations and things that I like using. I know they work well in tattooing, and I want to make sure that I sort of hit those beats with what I'm doing. So I have this teal color that I really, really like, and it contrasts really well with like a tangerine sort of color, and they both heal really good. They both heal really, really well, and so I know that I can get them in there nice and bright. So with that in mind, I am going to do this goldfish, and I'll have him being zapped. So I'm going to draw him as like a glowing, almost, how you like cartoon being electrocuted type fish.
We got a question in the chat. How much room should you give yourself when designing a full sleeve? Melly Mel's World, we might need a little bit more context for your question. Would you want to maybe elaborate a little bit more? Anyway, yeah, I'll throw that over to you, Andrew, but maybe.
Yeah, I think it needs a bit more context, but I think I sort of get the gist of it. I try to I try to utilize all of the real estate somebody gives me. So it's advice that I give to my clients is, if we're going to tattoo the area, then let's tattoo the whole thing. Let's take up all that space, not sort of try to fit it all into a little bubble and try to, right, if we're doing a sleeve, let's do the whole bloody sleeve. Let's cover that space. And usually I'll also say less is more, but more is more at the same time. It's really weird. What I mean by that is, instead of getting all the 800 things that we both think Dungeons and Dragons is, we will get 2 or 3 or 4 at the most concepts and get them into the sleeve, and then do those as large as possible, i.e., do the more part of it. So instead of having everything that you ever wanted in a tattoo all in that same picture, you just do a couple of things correctly.
Yes. I'm just working on a cover up that's going to be Zelda themed, and that's the big thing that we're running into as well, is like she's got a million things that could be representing Zelda to her, and so I'm just kind of like narrowing it down to what's the most important and what's also going to be really cool looking in a tattoo.
Yeah, exactly, because you can end up like, you get so much stuff in there that it confuses the image, it confuses what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's the whole case of you can't see the forest for the trees. It's just a big blob of stuff.
Yeah, I think there's like there's certainly like aesthetic where you just a patch of tattoos, right? You just get all different kinds. I do think that there is a big difference in those presentations as well. Like I've certainly seen profound, patchwork tattoos. Like, again, somebody's really committed, and it makes a beautiful pattern. That for me, I think that's when it's. I think there's a harmony that sometimes you can sort of, achieve a harmony with all of the. I just got this one at this point, and this and that one at that point. That's all the planning that some people do. They just get a million little.
The choice is good. Like I think you're exactly right there. If someone's choosing that, they go, right, I want this aesthetic for this tattoo. That's a great choice, and there's nothing sort of taking away from doing that. But when it's indecision or something else that brings you to that point, and you hit it by default rather than on purpose, I think that's when you can come really sort of unstuck.
I think there's a real big difference in just this idea about composition, right? So if you could see the composition of the tattoo from across the street, and you can still tell like what the tattoo is about, then what you have is like you've taken this sort of longer view, right? You've composed it the way that you're doing here, right? From across the street, that's really how I'm going to see it. If I get up close, I'm sure there's going to be very expert mark making, all kinds of really beautiful tattoo in there. But the other way to think of it is like you have a million little little tiny little tattoos, and you got to get up really close, about probably about 12 inches or so away, a meter or closer, right? You got to be within that proximity to be able to appreciate everybody's little tattoos, right? So you're not thinking about it as a whole composition, you're thinking about it as little moments, and both are valid, but certainly, I think that's just the difference, insofar as like how do you choose, like how big do you have to go, and it's like, so if you want like a really something that's really cohesive, Andrew Swarbrick, beautiful sleeve, give him the whole sleeve. Don't make you do it piecemeal, right? Lay out the whole thing and do it. But otherwise, if you're just collecting them, having a good time, then I think then probably the best attitude to be pretty laid back about it. That seems to be. I have clients that have that attitude. They're just really laid back. They just get whatever little thing they feel that day, and it's
Right.
it's just.
Yeah, I think
I had my Wacom was like smashing into my my keyboard.
I do that with my iPad on here all the time, and it's like boop boop boop. You're like, what is happening right now? Oh.
Yeah, no, that was totally me.
Yeah, I wanted
like,
to.
What are these guys doing? It's like, no, it's you're doing it.
I wanted to say on that thing that what I've found is most helpful for figuring out what somebody's actually wanting, for like the patchwork versus not, is like if they have one or two drawings that they've brought or images that they've brought you of other tattoos that they saw, and that was the like inspiration, and you can generally see from there, oh, they saw this really epic tattoo that's like one or two subject matter, but they have these ideas that are including 10 subject matter, but what they want is something that gives you this big wow factor. So you have to then, that's your job, is to notice that and then like bring them to a place where they're like this sleeve with the large pieces, the few large characters versus a million tiny characters. But if they're bringing you something that's like a bunch of patchwork and you're like, oh, okay, I see, that's what the aesthetic that you're looking for. And they'll usually show you something. And I've had people where they show you something that they want and it's like wow factor. And they're saying, oh, I'm covering this up because it's not, everybody just says, oh, nice when they see my tattoo. But I don't think they like it. I want it to be like, wow. And there's this one girl, I drew up a cover up on her with marker, and she looked in the mirror, she said, wow. And then she said, I don't know if I'm ready for this. So it was like, yeah, there's like a different mindset that some people have where it's like that big shapes the wow factor that maybe they see and they want. It's a lot for them to imagine it on their own body.
Yeah, no, that is true. That is true. Yeah, it's sort of up to you to sort of, I guess, coach them and to gauge what it is that they want, what's best for them. You know, at the end of the day, yeah. we are in the service industry. We're artists, and sometimes people come and want just your art, and that's amazing when that happens. But sometimes people, a lot of the time they want what they want, and it's up to you to decide whether or not that's something that you're willing to do for those particular pieces. And it's our job to give them what's going to work for them. They're the ones that are walking around sort of with it every day. I could do my idea of the most amazing tattoo on someone, and they absolutely hate it because it's not them. It's not what they want. So you've got to really think about that. It's the part of the sucky part of the coolest job in the world. So you don't get to make 100% of decisions. Yeah. No, that is a big thing with that. But it's still rather be doing this than anything else.
Right? Oh my gosh, me too. So lucky.
So yeah. No, it's definitely thing. Yeah. So I'm just sort of working out the shapes and everything again. I really love this guy down here. So I just wanted him to. I was just having a bit of a play with his face, but at this stage I don't like to zoom in too much. I just really want to keep that overall aesthetic happening, and then come in occasionally and do that. Those big sort of shapes. See his. Sorry.
I love the glowing fish. It's so cool.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. What I'll do is I will sketch most of this out here, and then I'll show you the one that I've done previously. Like a cooking show. Here's one I prepared. why not? I love this one, but I did spend a long time on the other one, and I want to show it off.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
absolutely. This loaf of bread rose so nicely, and I just
Yeah, so this one was so good. I'm putting this one on the telly. Yeah, so I'll do this. I'll sort of see. I had that layer where I sort of did the big multipliers, and it's really rough. But I'm just trying to get those shapes in, and then the next layer up, I'll do a normal layer in a lighter grey, but not as light. And then I'll start building up sort of the forms with that. So where do I want these sort of large areas of shape to be? You know, I want them to be a bit narrower in through the middle here than what I already had. Get these teeth a bit more yucky, almost horrible visage. But this is where you can really start to sort of sculpt those shapes a bit more, I guess is the right word.
No, the kind of mood, the vibe that it's taken on, you know, in just the last few moments, it really has become just, you know, this, you know, much more epic. You know, it's way epic now.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much, hey. Like you just it's a few of those sort of additional shapes coming in over the top of that skull shape really starts forming that character. You know, what is he? Who is he? What is he up to? You know, it's horrible. I'm going to use the word horrible a lot. Horrible.
No, it is though. Yeah, it totally is.
But he does have, and that's the thing that is the big difference, and that really pulls me into that 90s nostalgia, is he has eyeballs. You know, he has cool 90s skull eyeballs, and why not? So we can sort of
rad.
You know, create these shapes.
And you just bring more contrast there. You gotta, you know, you'll have different like sharper value shifts and
yeah. But it's at the moment.
We lost your audio, Andrew. If you're there, I don't know. I hope you're still there, Andrew.
Here, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah. I did the just turn it off and on again thing.
Perfect.
That seems to have fixed it. I don't know what. Yeah. So at the moment, it's more about the forms and the shapes. It's more about sculpting everything than it is about anything else. Someone else at the door.
So how big is this showing up on your screen right now for you? Like when you're looking at that skull, how big is the skull?
It's little, so it's probably 2 inches, if that.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it small. I'm trying to do everything. I'm doing that so that I don't get bogged down.
Yeah, I like how long you're allowing yourself to stay that small. I know that as soon as I'm starting to refine stuff, I get.
Yeah, because that's the thing. If you, I'm very sorry. I have to go. Someone's at the.
Amazing. No, I love it, and you know, for those who don't know, what we're looking at right now is it's Photoshop. Right, so this is so Andrew is using Photoshop. I know that many people probably just use Procreate and don't really use Photoshop. So it's, you know, again, like, so to some, I'm sure it's very apparent, but yes, that's what this program is. So there's a lot of different tools, and we can see them over on the left hand side of the screen, it just gives you lots of different options, right? But like, again, like I generally use Procreate for the day-to-day sketching and stuff like that. It's very effective. Or even like sketching on paper, taking a photograph, importing it in. You can work digitally that way as well. But yeah, like, so what are you drawing on right now, Andrew? You have a Cintiq that you're using?
Yeah, it's a Wacom tablet. Yeah, it's a Cintiq, I guess. It's a big one. I invested recently in my setup. I used to have the little 13-inch mobile one for years, and that did for everything, but it was sort of because of you've got your references on the screen and all your tools and everything there, you only end up drawing on this tiny little portion of the screen.
Right.
And it was just, I was very good at zooming in and out, but it became more of a hindrance than anything else. So I was sort of talking to my mate that has a big one, and he was like, I'm like, I just don't know. When I've graduated from this one and when I've had enough. And he's like, you've already had enough. Like, yeah. Like, admit it. So I was like, okay. Ended up biting the bullet. I think deep down I'm just tight. I'm just a tight wee miser, and I can't give myself spending money.
I feel you.
Yeah, so I just decided, I was like, oh, bugger it, I'll get one, and they're not cheap, but this is my job, this is my career. I should really be investing in this stuff, so
that's a good point. A really good point.
It's if I can't invest in this, then what am I going to invest in? My kids? No. That was a terrible joke. I'm sorry. I don't really mean it. That was so bad.
I hope this Clips is going to pick it up. We'll run
80s sitcom dad. My wife and kids, man. Like,
this is the most controversial moment, and then it makes it.
Yeah, this guy. So decided to do that. But I mean, I've just been. It's weird being from a country that's so far away from the US. Like, Apple is a real premium product and an import, as all the products are. So it was one of those things that all the Android stuff was just so much cheaper and widely available with lots more options early on. So I sort of hit on that pretty quick, and I did try an Apple product once, which was I think it was the iPod Shuffle. And I chucked the iTunes on my computer, and I had a wee spaz because I went ballistic because it immediately went through and got all my pirated music and deleted it.
Oh no! That's just be a warning.
Pardon me?
They should have warned you.
Yeah, they should have warned me they were going to get rid of my illegal stuff. Yeah, so I was like, no, don't you tell me what I can and can't have on my computer. It's too much control. But yeah, my lovely wife is mad into the into Apple stuff, so she uses all the that sort of thing. But for me, it's always just been easier to use Photoshop, and you can use it across. I can use it on my computer and stuff like that. So yeah. So yeah, just Photoshop and Wacom. A long-winded way of saying that. He does go on.
No, is it so? Is it a big Wacom screen, and is it like an active screen, or is it like
an active screen, and I'm drawing directly on it. I used to, and I still do a lot of thumbnails on paper, and I do them with a ballpoint pen, so that I can't erase what I'm doing. I do that for my sort of rapid idea iterations, and that's still a tool that I use all the time.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying. I love doing ballpoint pen stuff. I've been doing that with my little when I'm waiting in the car for something. I've instead of looking at my phone, I've started doing taking my business cards because you can draw on them because they're recycled paper, and just doing like little biomech things with ballpoint pen, and it's very fun, and it just makes you like you got to be decisive.
Yeah, and it's like it's such a way to play, like it's a big thing as a professional sort of commercial artist, is that aspect of playing and just figuring things out is it's your job now. So being able to just doodle, and you can't have much stake in what you're doing because you're doing postage stamp size, or business card size drawings in pen. You can only take them so far. So it trains that part of your mind, I guess.
Totally. And then you can take those and bring them into larger things. I have to go. My cat just brought another friggin' grasshopper in. I'll be right back.
No worries. So now I'm sort of just having a look at this hand. I'm going to maybe position some of the fingers in a weird wizard pose somehow. Funny finger positions is always good for wizards, I think. Because we all know that in order to cast spells properly, you need to do finger gymnastics. Somehow. Yeah, so and now it's sort of you start sort of playing with that form and lighting all goes into one. The big thing at the moment here, the sort of trend that I'm seeing in this picture, if I sit back and have a look, and it's always good to sort of zoom out or stand back from what you're doing, is seeing where your overall design is going and how your balance is working. So I can see I've got these sort of large areas of light here and here. And they're the cold light, and it's great, but it is a bit overpowering. So in order to balance that, I really still want this flow going through this way. So to balance that, I'll bring some more lighting effect sort of across this arm as it comes through, and then also I would want to up the contrast here, darken this guy up a bit, darken this up a bit, so that we get these sort of nice delineations between, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. Going back to those basic concepts to get your whole image working well. You can get as clever as you want and go in and do all the cool little tricks and details and lighting effect. But if you can get the whole thing to look good, it's sort of what you were talking about before, across the street sort of thinking. Get the whole thing to read well from back here, then it's only going to look cooler as you come in. Mm-hmm. Because you can really get bogged down in making all the little things pretty, and lose sight of those sort of big design concepts. You get what I mean there?
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So what I might do is I'll open up the pre-done one so we can sort of see the difference, I guess. Go away. There it is.
Cool.
I'll flip it around. So that was one thing I forgot to mention that I will now, is I'm right-handed, so I naturally draw from right to left.
Same.
So my flows are generally going to be this way. So even though the sleeve is for the other sleeve, I'll draw it this way round.
I do that too. It's way easier.
Yeah, definitely. And if it works for you, why not? That's just me taking some notes when I sort of showed my client what the hell I'm doing, where I want to go with it. But you can see I wasn't far off on the one that I drew. I probably will take some stuff from this one, mm-hmm. and have a wee look. So the Cerec's obviously a lot bigger on this one here. So yeah, it might be. I might look at reducing his face size a little bit because I do think he sits a little bit better on the other one. But yeah, and the expression on Xanathar, I really like Xanathar in this. I think he looks great here. But I do think he could look a little bit more upset about the whole thing. Like what I've got there. You see what I mean? He's just a little bit more shocked.
Yeah.
And
there's
just
like
really,
a movement, like it just happens, like
yeah. So just sort of ramp up that that comedy value. You know, he is a horrible ball of eyes and hatred. Why can't he be? I mean, that's just hilarious anyway, isn't it? You know, like it's just this concept. Why is one of the most dangerous creatures in Dungeons and Dragons literally just a ball of blue tack with, you know, Q-tip stuck in it that can violate? You know, what is that? Why is that terrifying?
My goldfish.
yeah, exactly. And he's so upset about it. So, but that was sort of what we were talking about earlier with that getting bogged down in the details. Like I really started sort of getting into his teeth and then the reflection of the goldfish in his eye and stuff like that. So how much of that will transfer through to the actual tattoo remains to be seen. And then I've got this. You can see I've just superimposed the background here because we originally, when I was drawing it, I was having Tiamat up there, but he really wanted to lean into the Underdark theme, and he was looking at getting Tiamat as a back piece, which is always nice for me. So I was just showing him what it would look like with Demogorgon up there instead, which always helps. But yeah, and then from here, you know, the big one is the big questions from here, the big issues you get when you start with like the main elements that you want. I know I want a Cerec, I know I want Xanathar, and I know pretty much where they're going to go. Now the big questions are, where does his head end up? You know, where's the back of his helmet sit? Where does his arm go? How does Xanathar sit on the inside? Because if he's on the inside of the forearm here, generous, it's on the inside of the forearm there. What parts of him wrap around, and how does that translate to the rest of this forearm? So he's got, you know, like for people that don't know, a beholder is a big ball with an eye, and then they have tentacles with eyeballs on, like this. They are ridiculous. So the cool thing is I can use these flow lines and go on those flow lines and, you know, put eyeballs on, and they'll sit sort of, they'll help generate flow as it wraps around the arm, and depth, because I can put eyeballs right out the front here and sit right way in front of where he does. But it does leave a space. It will leave a space. It'll leave a long, thin space through here that we'll need to fill up. So, and it's also the outside of the forearm. So it is also going to be on display more. You know, in order, when he shows people this, he'll show them the inside and how it all works. But just standing normally, it's going to have to look good. So there's going to have to be some sort of mass in here. If we're going to continue with the light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, right? So there's going to have to be something dark in through here. And you see that even just blocking it in like that looks kind of cool. You can see it sort of shades off the bottom of that elbow, it creates a nice light space and under this dark hand here. So I know that I'm going in the right direction here. And then we brainstormed what he might like in here. So he really liked the idea that a lot of the older guys, when we were growing up, had panther tattoos, and they were generally on the forearm like this, and the classic sort of, you know, S-shaped panther doing the climb up, you know, the one.
Yes.
That's a panther, by the way. And,
Absolutely.
yeah, no judge. So we were thinking displacer beast, because that's a panther with tentacles. There's a lot of tentacles in Dungeons and Dragons. So, yeah, if you've seen the movie, it's in the movie.
Yeah, I went with my nephew, and it's the one that like makes it so that it looks like it's somewhere, but it's actually somewhere else, kind of thing.
Blink in and out of existence. Yeah, it shows you one of itself, and then it's somewhere else. So we're going to do a take on that. So essentially, it's going to be a displacer beast in here somewhere. So whether or not I don't think it's going to be the whole panther's body, but it gives me options because there's going to be big, long, tentacles. So I can create this sort of flow, and we can figure out how to get, kitty cat in there somewhere. Essentially, it's a cat. That's a cat. Yeah, one Perfect. Of these with tentacles. Yeah, that's a panda with tentacles. But you have to imagine. I'm good. I am. I'm really good. I've been practicing. But going back, to what we were saying before, it's that sort of large essentials, and then you worry about it. I know that this space will be good for that. I also know that his arm doesn't finish here. This line continues. So I have real estate behind the Swarbrick that will also help to create this cross flow between these two images, so they're not just a sticker and a sticker and a sticker and a sticker. It's all one image that flows through one another. And that might be something, a big tentacle like that might be something that could help me finish the Swarbrick rather than having him fade off. But there's also the tricep area through here, coming down into the elbow, which is real estate, and there's the bicep in through here. So in this picture, I've got his staff here a little bit. We were considering that, but it is taking up valuable real estate. But another thing he really wants is a mimic, and they are also in the movie. And they're usually depicted as a treasure chest. When you open it, they've got teeth and a big purple tongue. So the good thing about that is it's, I guess it's much like biomech. They can really warp the shapes by nature, so I can warp how it is to really fit with my flow. I can think much more about flow than I can say with the panther, because its silhouette, part of it has to be recognizably panther, right? So I have to hit these beats. There's some beats I have to hit, much like the beholder is a big eye, and the Swarbrick is obviously a skull, whereas a mimic can be, as long as it's got teeth and a big tongue, I can literally just, do a big stream of teeth with horrible tongue coming out, and some other teeth in behind it. And then all I need to do is have two sort of straps going over somewhere, like it's a chest or some wood or a lock, a keyhole, and boom, it's a mimic. That's all you need to make that. So that's good, because it means that I've got quite a lot of freedom through here. So in designing the sleeve, this is where I'm up to, but these are the next large questions. Where does this end? You have to remember that everything keeps flowing through. Where does this end? How does this interact together? What goes in here, in here, in here? And then the final questions for me is, how does it start and how does it end? So are we going to do a watch strap? Not on your life. No, thank you. No, don't be lazy. Design something better. You're good at it. So I'll be sort of using some negative space to sort of bring this in somehow and create a asymmetrical sort of line at the bottom, or just 90s fire, like what I've done. There you go. Have a cool hot rod. And then at the top, so do we just fade it out? Because the problem is here is that if we're going to use we're going to use this as the reference. This isn't finished. It's sort of framed out by what's happening in the foreground a wee bit. So, do I use Demogorgon as a frame on one side with this angry, angry face and tentacles, coming through in the foreground, and there's a frame for the back, but then this, by contrast, in order to show the background, has to be lighter and faded, so you can just fade off the front. Will that look dumb? It's lots of just building up all these little thoughts together to make one big design, but constantly coming back to these foundational beats. Where does it sit on the flow? How does it contrast between one another? How's it going to work with the lighting effects and everything? It's a balance. For me, it's all a big balancing act. How much I really like bright, colourful tattoos, so I have to make them very, very dark to make those lighting effects work in here. So I have to make sure I'm getting all these dark areas and not just getting bright on bright on bright. At least it needs to be 50-50 between the two for it to work for me. If you have a look at even this picture, this is a great picture here, but it's got a great balance between the light and the dark. How much of this picture is 50% and below, and 50% and above is pretty even, and it's really well balanced and thought out. Same with older Swarbrick here. He's just a really good balance. And that was one of the other things that I did talk about the other day, but I sort of haven't got to mention so far, which is one of the things I really wanted to do, is make sure that the sleeve really read as a D&D sleeve, not just by its subject matter, but by how it's done. And that helped me to make sure that the Swarbrick was going to be dark, because if you have a look at these are all classic sort of covers of D&D books. And one thing I did notice, especially with the type of art that I really like, is that they usually, apart from this one, they usually have a dark foreground main subject matter and a light background, rather than the other way around, a bright foreground and a dark background. And that's a aesthetic choice that, especially in 5th edition and 3rd edition, sort of 3.5 artwork that you see, is very much like that. So that was a conscious choice that I wanted to make in this, which was the main subject matters were going to be dark, and then the backgrounds were going to be lighter. Everything as it moves into the back, into the distance in this image is going to become lighter as it goes back. And I've chosen the palette that the colder it gets, the further away it is. And then the reds will, denote depth and closeness to whatever unseen ground there is down the bottom there. Your eyes are going to read.
For the forearm and that bicep, like inner bicep and stuff, for these other parts, do you fully figure out everything about where you're going to put everything, or do you leave any to the day of putting marker on, stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm pretty good at freehanding. I do freehand probably more tattoos than I should. So getting the old markers out is I'm not adverse to that, but especially with something like this that is it's quite a complicated composition. Even though it's simple, it's complicated. I like to once again just find where my main beats are. So I'll have a stencil made for sort of how I envisage it on paper, and in my head I might even draw it on them and take a acetate off of that a week beforehand or whatever, and then use that to help make a stencil. But I'll always sort of bust out the Sharpies and get it to fit properly on the day, because people's arms are they're not, they don't look like the pictures, you know, they don't even work exactly how they should. So I often find, I know a lot of tattooists are very good at doing stencils and very good at placing them and that sort of planning, but for me, I'm not. I will waste more time trying to put on and take off and put on and take off and resize stencils than I will just drawing the bloody thing.
Totally.
And I've also built up the skills over the years to be able to draw it to the same sort of standard that I could if I spent time, you know, doing it beforehand. I've already practiced doing it, so I can just draw it again. It's no big deal, you know. That's where the alla prima painting really helps, I guess, and the, you know, redrawing things over and over again. It's not hard to do it, and often the next one can look better, you know. Yeah.
I often find that I have to do, when I'm bringing stuff like into some of those body parts, just doing freehand is just the easier way to end up dealing with that challenge.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a way to sort of see how it moves on their body. You can draw it on and then give them a good twist and push them around and get them to move their arms into different areas, and you can sort of see how it fits. I think it really helps. So I'll definitely be doing it with this piece. I'll probably stencil a few bits onto them and then sort of start moving them around and seeing how they work. I think with this one in particular, it's the piece I'm the most unsure about is the placement of the hand, and that's just because of where it's going to wrap around these complicated muscles through here, you know, and how it's going to look when these fingers sort of move over this horizon, you know. So I'll probably stencil that separately, that so that I can change the angles, I can change it, sort of move it forward and back, you know, whatever I need to do with it. And the same with the goldfish. You know, this all looks very good, but I need to see how he sits here, where he creases in his forearms, so that I don't sit him any of these bits that are going to require a lot of intense tattooing over those creases. You know, there needs to be a bit that's got a bit more sort of backgroundy areas in it, so where it's naturally going to struggle to heal as easily as it will on a large flat area, then I give it some breathing room to do that, rather than you know, just attack him and then expect it to heal or need to redo it every time.
Yes, totally. Just being aware of, that's the other challenge that we have, is we have to be aware of the fact that we've got this living, breathing little canvas, and so
exactly. You know, it's like the elbow. You know, people sometimes avoid tattooing the elbow altogether. I don't, but there's no guarantees how an elbow is going to heal. You know, like some people, you can put all the ink in the world into their elbow. You can sit 4 or 5 or 6 times, and it's going to fade out every time.
Yeah.
You know, and some people, first pass heals perfectly. You know.
Yep.
And it's, if you're relying on a feature of your tattoo to be based around this area, you're inviting disaster. You know, You shouldn't avoid it. You shouldn't be afraid of it, but it shouldn't be a serious anchor point. I don't think like what you would for the middle of the upper arm or the inside of the forearm as an anchor point.
Yeah.
I
Just
think
awareness.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's about where I'm at with this at the moment.
Awesome.
Right. Ooh-wee. I hope I didn't ramble on too much.
No, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew, for that. You know, for the demo. You know, and again, you know, it'll be free on YouTube forever. That's the thing too. I mean, you can go back and study that. That was very helpful. Like your process and the way you broke it down, it made a lot of sense. And so it was, again, being able to see the finished product. It really does. It's like if I just it's like, oh my God, how did you get there? Well, you showed us step by step how you got to yours. And I mean, it's more of a method. It feels like, rather than like than a recipe. It's like,
Yeah, I think you've just got to. The main beats are just constantly refer back to those fundamentals. Like I'm always referring back to the flow, the balance, and the lighting, and that's it. If you just keep referring back to that, keep zooming out, how does it still look good overall? And then as you zoom in, keep hitting those beats again and again and again, just in smaller and smaller areas. That's when you get these seemingly immensely complicated, hard to plan compositions, where it's really just those same steps over and over and over again, just repeated and refined and repeated and refined until you get this ridiculous looking thing. And it's not ridiculous, it's just repetition. Yeah, because you can get, as we were talking about earlier, you can just get so excited, this eyeball, and just go to town on it for 3 hours and zoom out and go, well, it's perfect, but the lighting is completely wrong, and you've wasted all that time, and we've all done it. We've all done it.
And back when there was we didn't have digital things, and you're doing it all in pencil and or pen, and then you look at it from far away, you're like, oh, what the fuck? This eye's an inch over from where it needs to be.
Yeah. I have a pile of canvases in the corner of my studio.
Speak to me getting carried away and not taking 5 minutes to worry about composition at the start. So that's the big one. Just start from a loose, large thing that is balanced, and then just continue down that road, and you will get there. You'll get there every time.
I like that. Oh, cool.
So I'm Andrew. I'm sharing your page on the Paradise Tattoo Gathering site.
Oh yeah.
So let's see. I'll just put up some. You can see we're also promoting your appearance today. We're promoting your appearance at the Paradise Tattoo Gathering. It's to be held this year at Jiminy Peak, beautiful Jiminy Peak, Massachusetts. Let's see. It is a unique experience, distinct from typical tattoo conventions. It's going to be October 24th through the 27th, 2024. So you're coming. Anyway, I have your page up, and let's navigate through it. So if you come here to the Paradise Tattoo Gathering site, you can locate your page up. Look at
it's me.
Tattoos.
Look, I do tattoos as well.
These tattoos are insane. And so, but you're really coming to Paradise to do your painting seminar.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about your what the painting seminar? Oh, look at this!
Yes, they get a cover up. Hey,
look at that cover up.
Nice. Oh, that's a blacked out belly button. Woohoo!
Yeah. I ended up doing the thing that I saw on Instagram, just filling his belly with black ink and just going to town. It worked. It really did. Yeah, he is a tough cookie. No numbing cream.
Nice.
Any of that. He's just into it, man. We have started using it on some of the areas on his inner thighs. But yeah, no, he raw dogged all that. Yeah, and that sleeve on the left there, actually, that's over 2 years old at that stage. And the one on the right, 5 years old at that stage.
So bright.
Yeah, it still heals that bright. But it's what we were talking about before. You get those darks.
Yeah, the contrast.
There's darks right next to it, and then it just appears more bright.
Yeah, intense. Let's see.
Yeah, but the speed painting. I'm doing speed painting, so yeah, you can see a lot of it on my Instagram. But I do an exercise. I used to do it every day in the morning, and I still do it now, probably once a week or before I'm starting a large project in painting, where I will do 10 paintings in an hour and just smash them out. So it sort of starts with 5 1-minute paintings, and then like a I think 2 5 minutes, a 10 and a 20 or something, whatever works out to be an hour. It's a small amount of a large amount of short time paintings, and then you sort of build up into the last one. And you keep painting the same subject matter. You can sort of pick out different bits or whatever, and then you rub them out in between. I use oil paint, so I use the turpenoid and just wash them off in between and keep painting. So it teaches you to. It's almost like life drawing. It teaches you to paint quickly. It teaches you to what you're doing with your mark making and that sort of stuff, and how to sort of train your eye more than anything else. Like what are you looking at? What are you looking for in your painting, and how to not be so married to the image that you're doing. If you're painting something and it looks cool, and then I make you rub it out. You've got to be good at letting them go. And the thing is with that is you can just paint it again. You should be able to just paint it again. It's your work. You're the one that painted it. So don't be so worried about holding on to them all the time. And it's good fun. And what it does is the main thrust of it is it's training you to just be a better artist. I spend a bit of time to sit down and hammer these paintings out before I start another sort of major project, and it helps me speed up that process. I'm not dithering. I'm not indecisive in what I'm doing. It helps me be very confident and very forward in my decision making on the larger, more important canvases than not. Because as we all know, especially when you're doing something and it feels very important to you, and it might be the biggest one you've ever done or the most difficult one you've ever done, you can really get into that analysis paralysis where you don't ever quite get off the ground because you're too scared of starting. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So we're just sort of we're browsing through your Instagram. Definitely.
If you scroll up, there's a speed painting one that I've popped up there.
Okay.
It's a flower. Keep going up until you see a flower.
This one.
It's near the top. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, that's me doing it in time lapse. So I just had a reference of several peonies, or pink cabbages as they're referred to in my world. And just painting it from different angles, painting it from different sort of compositions and concentrating on different stuff. And it's just, every iteration is a few minutes more. And then I think the final one, which is not this one, but the final one is 20 minutes, I think, is as long as I go on any of them. Those will be the 5-minute ones, and then this will be, I think that's the 20-minute one there. So yeah, and it really helps to sort of train you what you're concentrating on, and the images just come together faster and faster and faster and more solid until they just look sick. They just look so much better than what you could have done if you'd did it about on your own.
The cold 20 minutes versus you're all warmed up.
Yeah, exactly. And I did these exercises every morning at 4 or 5 in the morning, depending on what period of time it was, and I made a solo exhibition out of it. So it does work. You can keep them and sell them, and it's if you're looking for that sort of tangible repayment that aren't just in skill, then they're definitely there to be had as well.
Yeah.
Well, I think also one of the cool things about this is like, there's on one hand you're like, oh man, but I don't get to see the little thumbnails that I made and but like you're having it all on video. But the fact is you don't have to feel like, oh, I can't possibly do a sketch painting on this canvas. It's like, It's fine. It's just going to be the underpainting. It's just going to like be the smudge underneath.
Yeah,
And
it stains the canvas for you, and it makes the whole thing, sort of preps everything as you're going, and it makes it all nice and smooth, and the background lovely to paint on. And it's but yeah, a big thing for me is it's sort of detaching myself from the work a little bit, because you can get so invested in what you're doing that you put so much store in the painting that you're doing that you're unable to look at it objectively and make decisions, the best decisions for the painting based on that. And you can end up, just pumping tens of hours into a thing that's fundamentally shit for a start, and you should have done it again, and it's being able to sort of look at your own work a bit more objectively. So yeah, after doing these exercises, you're just so much better at art for the rest of the day. It's like taking a cheap pill.
That's amazing. So what is your speed painting event going to be like? How could you describe it? What's your notion for the?
Well, yeah, it's gonna be pretty light and easy. I like to keep it that way because people can be really nervous, like painting in front of other people. So it's very hands on. I'll bring all the crap that you need. Don't worry about any of that. I'll bring all the stuff that you need to paint. And your agreement is you can jump in and paint. I'll be painting too. And usually people are a little bit nervous, but they start loosening up after they scrub out the first 4 or 5 paintings and show everyone their failures, because it's like ripping off that band-aid. I'll do it too. Like I'll be painting and I'll go, I'll turn around and go, look at this crappy thing that I made. So don't worry that yours is crappy, because mine is crappy too. They're supposed to be crappy. Let's go, and I've done these a few times, and people really come out of their shells and really can see the benefit of it pretty quick. So I use a limited palette as well, so it's not overly complicated. It's 3 colors and white, and the black is mixed from those 3 colors. So that's it. It's 3 colors and white to deal with, and just go from there. We just sit down and paint, and I've got a timer on, and there's a lot of banter, and I'll come and look at all your work and give you some pointers. Quite a lot of it is just what you're choosing to paint and what you're looking at, what you're concentrating on, and with a few gentle nudges. You too will be speed painting.
You had me at wipe it out, so I'm there.
If you wipe it out, I can get you to rub it out if you like. We can all rub it out.
No, it's amazing. I love it. It's amazing artwork. And I'm again, it's this has been so much fun getting a chance to catch up with you and just sort of watch the process for like how you think about tattoos. Really, now having seen that, looking at this speed painting example, I see all of those fundamentals kind of at play while you were working today. It was just like very consummate, like you said, just really kind of going back to basic image making practices, and that's really kind of I thought it was just a great example. This is it really was a great demonstration, so I want to thank you again very much. So yeah, let's let me see here. I'm gonna stop my sharing, and let's check out your design. If let's see, we'll give it one last look. It is so sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah, amazing. And so what is the where's your final spot at? Yeah, so much detail, so much rendering on that forearm piece. Oh, the teeth and stuff.
Yeah, I got really into that. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, there's the fish.
I could definitely still zoom in and
there is the fish.
A lot more time, but
wow. Yeah. This is a great finale. You know what I mean? Especially if you've been watching this, you can see all that, just that beautiful. That's the payoff. That's what we've been waiting for, is to see this. Man, that is beautiful, Andrew. Excellent work.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah,
but it
all tattooed.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I really do. And I also, it's something that we were talking about last time, was like how you've really been able to achieve this aesthetic. It looks like the Dungeons and Dragons. It looks like this artwork. You know what I mean? It looks
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this. It looks like these artworks. So
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's
cheers.
really, yeah. Good fun. Lots of fun. I look forward to sinking another 100 hours into it or so.
No, well, I'd love to, do a recap and
Yeah. Once I've got it done,
see this
I'll,
finished.
no.
How long? All right, so this is, I think, some practical questions since I still have you. It's just like, how long? Let's speculate. Like, perfect hypothetical situation. You get to do this on your perfect timeline. How long does this tattoo take you? This sleeve.
The design or the tattoo?
The whole the whole endeavor. Yeah, the whole tattoo.
Ugh, God, I don't know. It's probably going to make me want to throw up in my mouth a little bit. But geez, man, I don't know. Like, it's probably going to reveal how loose and I play the whole, being a professional tattoo artist thing, of how much I generally wing it. I like the freedom of being able to design on people and stuff. So I'll usually only bring the design part up to a certain point. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just rendering an image, and I don't know if that's an excuse or what, but it feels different when I'm just reproducing a piece of art, even if it's my own, than it does having a little bit of freedom on the day to make decisions for the tattoo. So it's a funny one, because you train yourself to feel lazy for having that, not having absolutely everything prepared. But I think there is room for that in tattooing, even in a permanent art form like tattooing. Having a bit of freedom and creativity in the moment is still a valid thing to do. But getting back to the timeline, I mean, for this one in particular, I'm going to design a lot because it's quite complicated. I guess 20 or 30 hours designing, I suppose. That would just be, that's I'm just pulling the number out of the air. I have no idea. I don't really sort of time that. And tattooing wise, I'd say we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 to 8 full days. I imagine maybe 10, probably 10 to be safe. Full day sessions, and full day for me is 7 hours, so about 70 hours in a sleeve. For a full colour sleeve, if it was colour, I could bust it out an awful lot faster. It really depends on the level of rendering and the level of detail. Like, you get one back piece that's just a giant face and a skull. I would be able to be done in half the amount of time as a back piece with several elements with lots of little details with the same amount of tattoo rendering. Like, there's just more time spent in a small area. So yeah, somewhere between 50 to 70 hours, I'd imagine, in the tattooing time for this. Some of them go really, really quick. I did a Warhammer 40k sleeve on a guy who flew over from Singapore and had to get it all done at once, and we got it all done in 6 days. So fully rendered, fully coloured in, realistic.
Wow.
In 6 days. But it was
6 straight days.
And it was his first tattoo.
What?
Yeah.
What?
How did
he do?
If I can find it, I'll see if I can find it on Instagram. Hold on.
Was he? I mean, he must have sat well.
He sat all right. He had a little. He had some issues because he was sort of getting into bodybuilding, and I was talking to him about stuff, and then I mentioned to him the idea of that I just found out about intermittent fasting, and he was really intrigued about the idea. So then he randomly on the 4th day started flaking out, and I asked him what was going on, and he just decided to start intermittent fasting in the middle of a 6 day in a row
Yeah, it's
tattoo.
not the time. That is
He
not the
hadn't
time.
eaten at that stage in something like 18 hours.
Oh,
Bro. So yeah, we had to postpone it. We had to push it back by a day. So we did have a little break, but it was only a half-day break. Find this
unreal. The
years
stuff
ago.
that some people just think is like totally cool to do.
Just-
You're like, this is not a normal day right now.
No, and I mean, it was. I forgot. He's getting such a big tattoo. I forgot that it was his first tattoo. I had no idea.
Right.
He was just like, oh yeah, I could do that. You know, why not? It's like it's
Yeah.
trauma, man. You're getting a lot of trauma on your skin. You know.
Yeah.
And
You need some sustenance, dude.
yeah. Double
Well,
time.
I think if you're already, I mean, if you're experienced at fasting and you're already in one, and then you
Yeah, man, but not like just deciding to start it. Oh yeah, here it is.
yeah, that's different. Yeah, no, exactly. So,
Yeah, there it is. I'll send the link.
oh, okay, yeah, perfect. I will. Let me see.
How can I do that? Where are we?
There's a private chat in our
Oh yeah,
our
yeah. I'll send you the link to the Instagram. So this was after he actually came back and got his chest done. So this is after the final sessions on his chest.
All right, let me share this with everybody. Let's see.
Let's do a quick little video.
Yeah, this.
But yeah, we got this. I think this is 8 sessions in total.
Oh wow.
We just sort of finished off some bits.
Whew. Oh, that's a
Yeah, and I freehanded all of that.
arm.
It's a little swollen. It's a little bit swollen.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, so he's swollen all right. Look at that, Jesus.
Oh.
But yeah, and that all healed up. That healed up great, and he was happy. But yeah, I just broke it down into sort of large sections and attacked them in one hit each. You know.
Right, like dealt with one character at a time, kind of.
Yeah, it was just because I was aware that there was no healing time in between. Where I went wrong with that, and anyone who's going to do multiple sessions on a sleeve or has done them is probably going to think I'm an idiot for not thinking of it. But you start at the bottom and work your way up, not the other way around. Because if you're on day 4 or 5 of a sleeve and you're now on the forearm, all that swelling is the whole arm swells and it all pulls down at the bottom. So you end up having to tattoo a watery, puffy, jelly-like forearm and wrist. And yeah, it's a whole thing. So start at the bottom, and then the majority of the swelling is going to be localized down there, and there's much better drainage, I guess, at the top.
That makes so much sense. When I got my first session from Guy, it was like 17 years ago, and it was a 3/4 sleeve, so it was like ends halfway up my forearm. But it was my first big tattoo, and so I didn't realize that I should be lifting my arm above my head to let it drain. And so it all pooled, like you said, all swole. And so like my forearm was giant and my hands had like the little pudge that babies' hands have. And it was like very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I can't imagine getting tattooed on it.
Oh my God. My arm just totally did that. I did 2 days at hyperspace, and that was all swollen at the forearm, and so it was it gets so swollen.
Oh my gosh.
After
You gotta
I couldn't imagine like 8 days
your head and massage your lymph nodes.
You have to.
Yeah. I'm always like on, whatever in the airport, just like arm up in the air, bandaged, like massaging my armpit, and people are like, "What is with this girl?"
Doing? You wouldn't understand. Anyway, this is amazing, and it's incredible, and and so many there's a lot of artists are doing this these days. There's another friend of the show, Shamik. He also does this really long multi-day sessions where he'll do whole projects, especially for international clients, and it really is, it's amazing. And there's a story that that I share about. I met this guy. He had a half sleeve, and then like his quarter of his torso. So, so his whole front of his torso. It was Horiyoshi 3 did it, and the story this guy told me was like every day for 45 days. They worked on it, like like for like 7 hours a day or whatever. And after every session, he would go down to the ocean, and the assistants would like scrub down his body with loofah sponges and stuff. He said that was the most painful part. But he said it never peeled. It just never. It didn't even have to heal. It was just healed because they would scrub it so hard. Anyway, this is the story. I don't have any I don't have any. You can fact check me. I don't know, but I love the story. I really do. It sounds so intense. I've never done that. I've never scrubbed the hell out of my fresh tattoo.
No.
Don't do that.
I've never done it.
It's a lovely story, but just don't. Can you not do that? Don't do that.
You give it the old once over, right?
Yeah.
Beginning, right? The very first day, and then it's all it doesn't even need to heal. It doesn't need to peel, right? I don't know.
Took off
There's
all
different
the,
philosophies on how to heal these. I have some clients that will dry heal them, and I also have some who love the second skin, but they have terrible reactions to it.
Mm-hmm.
It really is sort of it is so different for different people.
Yeah, every client's different, and it's a thing like with anything, like there's always avenues for issues to happen when you're handing over the looking after it to somebody else who doesn't really know what they're doing as well. They've got to be able to read their body and everything. That's why with the second skin's really great, but there is a process that I use while I'm talking to the client all day, and it sounds horrible, but as to whether or not I trust them to use the second skin properly, because it is something that stays on there for so long. If they get something wrong, it's going to go very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So quite
May I
often,
ask what your process
some people are just like, you know what? You just unwrap that when you get home and give it a nice rinse, and you just dry that out. You just dry it right on out, mate. But it's like they'll still heal. It's just like it's a thing where it's if they do the thing where they change it or whatever, and they get one bit wrong, and there's a tiny bit of not clean under there, then they've got days for that not clean bit to just be sealed in with their fresh tattoo.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I don't think it's not appropriate generally to entrust a client to have to deal with the second skin application. Maybe for very experienced clients, like as you say, you have to really know what you're doing. I've certainly had people in healthcare, nurses and the like as clients, and they will sometimes they'll even use other products that are similar, and then it's on the client what they do to it. You can give them all your recommendations you like, but it is really on the to each their own, I suppose.
Yeah.
But this is beautiful. We did this last time, Andrew. We just hung out and chit chat all day. Here, let me stop this. So I want to thank you again. I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person this year at the Paradise Tattoo Gathering, taking your painting seminar as well. I'm definitely gonna participate. So
Sick.
Yeah, Sandy, you're coming to Paradise too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll try and make it to the seminar. I last time didn't get to make it to any seminars that weren't happening upstairs, but I'm definitely hoping to this time. So yeah.
Yeah, well, so we need 3 tickets to Paradise, but hopefully we'll see you all there too. So make sure to to join us next week. Well, we're gonna replay this next Monday. Again, next time, join us next stream. Happy drawing, everybody. We want to thank Guy Atchison for being the founder and inspiration behind the Reinventing Tattoo community. Thanks, Guy. Also, we'd like to thank Gabe Ripley and Tattoo Now. Thanks for everything that you all do behind the scenes. Again, this has been Drawing for Tattooers. We'll see you next time. All right, bye.
Cheers.
Thanks, Andrew.